Okay, so get this. You've got this story. It's straight out of Hollywood, but there's a twist, and it'll make you rethink how you judge people.
Oh, yeah.
We're going deep on this one, going for a deep dive into a moment at the Sierra Grill.
Okay.
This is, a cozy little spot in Carmel by the Sea,
Right.
and it's owned by, well, wait for it, a pretty big celebrity.
Oh, intriguing.
But hold your horses, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Our protagonist is Megan.
Okay.
She's a 23-year-old waitress at this very restaurant, and let me tell you, she is about to learn a lesson. Imagine you're having the day from hell.
Yeah.
Customers or rude steaks are coming back, undercooked drink orders are vanishing.
Oh, no.
And the tips, let's just say, they're not exactly funding your dream vacation.
Right. I can see how all of that would really put anyone on edge.
Exactly.
Like you're just ready for the next bad thing to happen.
Exactly. And that's where Megan's at when this man in his 80s walks in.
Okay.
Wrinkled flannel shirt, faded jeans, a well-worn Stetson.
Okay.
Not exactly like the, high roller vibe. And Megan instantly pegs him as a cheap tipper.
Oh, I bet a lot of us would have made that same assumption, right?
Oh, totally.
See an older gentleman maybe dressed simply at a fancier restaurant than usual,
Yeah.
and we just jump to conclusions about his generosity.
Yeah, it's like our brains are hardwired to make these snap judgments even before we know anything about a person.
It really is, and I think there's a really fascinating psychological phenomenon at play here called the halo effect.
Ooh, tell me more.
Have you ever noticed how our perceptions of someone's wealth or their status
Yeah.
can totally color our entire impression of them?
Yes, like if they look successful, we just automatically assume they must also be kind and intelligent and generous.
Exactly. And on the flip side, if someone doesn't quite fit our image of success,
Right.
we tend to judge them a little more harshly.
So basically, Megan's letting her assumptions about this man's appearance totally cloud her judgment about his character.
Exactly.
And it gets worse
How so?
because it's like she's on a mission to prove her initial judgment, right?
She makes this snarky comment about his hat. She grills him about whether he's a local, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, no.
That's like she's trying to get a rise out of him.
It's fascinating how stress can really amplify our negative biases.
Oh, totally.
It's like our brains are looking for an outlet for all that pent-up frustration.
Oh, yeah. It's like when you're having a bad day and suddenly everyone around you is annoying.
Exactly.
But hold on, there's a twist coming.
Okay.
So while Megan's busy, rolling her eyes, her coworker, Danny, thinks this guy looks familiar.
Okay.
Like maybe even famous.
Ooh, this is where it gets good.
Megan, of course, scoffs at the idea.
Of course.
But then the restaurant manager, Carol, comes over and greets the man with the utmost respect.
Okay.
He calls him Mr. Eastwood.
Wait, hold up. Mr. Eastwood as in Clint Eastwood?
You guessed it, the owner of the very restaurant where Megan's been serving up a side of sass.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine the look on her face?
That is amazing. Talk about a reality check.
Right.
It's like the ground just shifted beneath her feet. Totally.
Suddenly she's not just dealing with a grumpy customer. She's been downright rude to a Hollywood legend.
And one who signs her paychecks, no less.
I mean, this whole scenario, it really shows
Okay.
how our assumptions can totally lead us astray.
Right.
We see someone that doesn't fit our image of a, big spender,
Uh-huh.
and we treat them accordingly.
Yeah.
But imagine if we all just took a moment to pause and challenge those first impressions.
Right.
What kind of world could we create?
That's a powerful thought, but let's be real. Megan's in full panic mode right now.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, she's probably replaying every eye roll and sarcastic comment, thinking she's about to get fired.
Oh, yeah. She's probably experiencing that surge of cortisol and adrenaline.
Yeah.
The classic stress response.
Right.
It's like her brain is screaming, danger, you messed up.
Exactly.
But here's the thing about those moments of intense regret. They can actually be catalysts for change.
Okay, so you're saying this cringeworthy encounter could actually be good for Megan.
It has the potential to be a turning point. I mean, we often learn the most from our mistakes.
True, but let's not forget, Clint Eastwood is still a Hollywood icon.
Right.
Used to a certain level of, deference.
Sure.
Do you really think he's just going to brush this off?
I mean, that's a fair point, and to be honest, in some situations, a display of disrespect like that might have serious consequences.
Yeah.
But what if instead of reacting with anger or punishment, Clint Eastwood chooses a different approach?
Okay.
What if he sees it as an opportunity for a teachable moment?
Okay, I'm intrigued. So what happens next? Does Clint storm out? Does he demand to speak to the manager?
Well, this is where the story takes an unexpected turn.
Oh.
The next day, Megan shows up for work, bracing herself for the worst. She's probably picturing a stern talking to, maybe even a pink slip waiting for her.
Oh, no.
But then Clint Eastwood walks back into the Sierra Grill.
Wait, seriously? He came back?
He did, and instead of marching up to the manager's office, he asks to be seated at one of Megan's tables.
Okay, now I'm on the edge of my seat. What happens next?
So Clint sits down, and you can imagine the mix of emotions swirling within Megan. Fear, shame, maybe even a flicker of defiance.
Right.
But Clint doesn't come to scold her. Instead, he engages her in conversation. He asks about her day, her life, her aspirations.
Whoa, that's unexpected.
It is, isn't it? And I think this is where we see the power of grace in action.
Okay.
Instead of resorting to punishment, Clint chooses empathy and understanding.
Right.
Like he's saying, I see you, I recognize your humanity, and I believe you're capable of better.
That's pretty remarkable.
It is. And this approach, this emphasis on restorative justice rather than punitive measures, is actually gaining traction in a lot of different fields.
Interesting.
It's the idea that we can achieve more positive outcomes by focusing on repairing harm and fostering understanding rather than just meting out punishment.
I can see how that would be more effective in the long run.
Right.
But back to Megan, how does she react to this unexpected act of kindness?
She's totally caught off guard here. She is expecting to be reprimanded, and instead she's being treated with respect and compassion.
Right.
And in that moment, something shifts within her horror. Clint's words, they really resonate with her, especially his simple but profound advice.
Yeah.
Every interaction is an opportunity. Use it well.
So are you saying that this single encounter with Clint Eastwood actually changed Megan's outlook?
I think so. From that day forward, Megan makes a conscious effort to treat every customer with kindness and patience.
Wow.
It's not about faking it. It's about tapping into that genuine desire to connect with others that Clint's gesture awakened in her.
That's amazing. So instead of getting fired, Megan gets inspired.
Right.
And I bet this newfound attitude starts to really, have a positive impact on her work.
Absolutely. And I think that's where the idea of the ripple effect really comes into play.
Okay.
Megan's shift in perspective not only benefits her personally, but it creates a more positive environment for everyone around her.
So instead of spreading negativity, she's radiating kindness.
Exactly. It's like a chain reaction of good vibes.
I love that.
But the ripple effect, it doesn't stop there. Remember that customer comment card that Carol mentioned?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out it wasn't just a simple compliment about Megan's service.
So what did this comment card say?
It turns out that this customer had been having a particularly rough day themselves.
Oh, wow.
Feeling really stressed, overwhelmed, ready to snap at anyone.
Right.
But then they encounter Megan.
Yeah.
Her genuine warmth, her willingness to go the extra mile, her simple act of asking, how are you doing today? But with sincerity, it totally changed their mood.
That's incredible.
It really is.
So not only did she turn her own attitude around, but she also had a positive impact on a complete stranger who was dealing with their own negativity.
Right, and I think this is a great example of what's so powerful about this ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's not just about the initial act of kindness. It's about how that kindness can spread outwards and touch so many lives in ways we may never fully realize.
It's like that quote, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." We never really know what someone else is going through. And a small gesture of compassion can really make a world of difference.
Right. And think about this. If Megan hadn't misjudged Clint Eastwood and experienced that whole roller coaster of emotions, would she have been open to this kind of transformation?
Good question.
Maybe not. But this encounter, as uncomfortable as it was, seems to have been the catalyst for real growth.
So what's the takeaway here for our listeners? What can we learn from Megan's journey?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's a good reminder to check our assumptions.
Yeah.
We all have biases, and it's easy to let those biases color how we see other people.
Right.
But if we can take a moment to pause, to question those initial judgments, we might be surprised by what we find.
It's like don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes the people we least expect can teach us the most valuable lessons.
And it's a call to action.
It is.
What if we all committed to making kindness a conscious practice?
I love that.
It doesn't have to be anything huge. A smile, a compliment, a willingness to listen without judgment.
Those little things can make a huge difference.
It's interesting to think about this ripple effect from Clint's perspective, too.
Oh, yeah. How so?
He could have easily chosen to ignore Megan's rudeness.
Right.
Or he could have reacted with anger,
Of course.
But he chose grace.
He did.
And that act of grace set off a chain reaction of positivity that extended way beyond that initial interaction at the restaurant.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful example of how leadership isn't about power or authority. It's about using your influence to uplift and empower others.
Oh, and sometimes the best way to do that is through simple acts of kindness.
I agree.
So to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. What opportunity for kindness will you create today? Who might benefit from your willingness to see beyond those assumptions and offer a genuine gesture of compassion? Remember, every interaction is a chance to make a positive difference in the world.